Good morning, everybody! The next Sonic game came out, and being someone well-renowned for video game opinions, I think it's time I tell the internet the real opinionatic truth about Sonic Forces. Making a custom character in a Sonic game is just genius. Think about it, Sonic OCs are ingrained into gaming culture, even if as the butt of a joke. Including the character creator serves a dual purpose. The hardcore Sonic roleplayers finally have their dream come true and make their OCs canon. Meanwhile, those who crack dumb jokes about Sonic OCs on a daily basis, this character creator gives them the perfect outlet to make the dumbest mockery of the Sonic OCs they can think of. And this character creator is no joke. It starts out with almost no accessories, and by the end, you've got way more clothing options than you can stick a shake at. I spent a lot more time than I probably should have debating on if I wanted the pretty pink shoelaces or the cute purple thingy things on the shoe. I call her Shang. Shang the Sniper. She's the world-renowned pop star daughter of Fang the Sniper and Sonic the Hedgehog. Every mission in the game unlocks a ton of these accessories, and every level has a minimum of 3 missions: beating it, S-ranking it, and goal timing it. Whether you're only doing the minimum and rushing through the story, or taking the long way around 100% completion, you'll be constantly rewarded for progression with oodles of accessories to jam in your closet. It gives that just one more feeling gamers tend to crave. That next level just might have that second pair of goggles in the color you wanted. What? I like goggles. They go well with my goggles. There's some major flaws in the side missions though. There's 5 red rings in a stage. Your reward for finding them on a given level is nothing. There's a sequence of countdown mobobs that you can only find by replaying the level after finding the red rings. Your reward for finding them on a given level is nothing. There's a sequence of moon medals in the stage that can only be found by replaying the level after finding the countdown mobobs. Take 3 guesses what your reward for finding these is. Explain this to me. Given red rings exist to demonstrate the player has learned the level's layout, what's the purpose of the ladder collectibles? It's mindless busy work that doesn't reward the player, tacking on a minimum of 2 level replays after they've already demonstrated mastery. And, of course, it's gonna take more than 2 replays most of the time. It's not like you're gonna be lucky enough to come across the collectible on every level on your first try. These are linear levels with split paths, with no way of knowing which path the collectibles are on. Some of the missions with rewards are pretty uninspired busy work too. Take, for example, this mission, for doing a spin dash in stage 18. I have now done a spin dash in stage 18, in exactly 0.38 seconds. But I do, of course, still have to play through the entirety of the level for the game to recognize the mission as complete. And even worse, these missions have other filler missions locked behind them, and wait, wasn't I supposed to be talking about what I liked? I'm sorry, but Sonic Team just keeps trying to distract me. Forces succeeds in the same place the day stages of Unleashed succeeded. Satisfying, fast-paced, moment-to-moment gameplay, in which you try to maximize your score by minimizing your time spent traversing the level, demolishing as many enemies as you can along the way, and crossing paths with as many rings as you can without taking damage. Each level is relatively short, but if you only play the level once, you haven't really played it. One's first play of these levels is bound to be fraught with collisions with enemies you didn't see coming, or even just zooming straight off the edge of pits. It's in replaying the levels and mastering them that the game's beauty shines, getting that perfect run where you zoom through every section in the ultimate display of skill. And even though each level is short, they're all littered with plenty of unique enemy and terrain layouts to zoom through. The variety is spiced even more by swapping between the 3 characters. Sonic has the boost for ridiculous high-speed traversal. Shang the Sniper has a gun encouraging you to mow down waves of enemies in your path. And Classic Sonic is a terrible mess that's both difficult to control and difficult to look at. The original script set up a part where I rant about how much I hate Classic Sonic, but it was 5 minutes of saying his jump animation looks dumb, so I cut it. His movement feels jarring. There doesn't seem to be any logic in the physics here. He gains and loses speed at the drop of a hat. The other 2 aren't exempt from similar wonky midair movement, but they both have a homing attack, and Sonic has a double jump to compensate. And whatever you do, do not equip Shang with a gun that boosts her speed. She'll become practically unplayable. There's even this one really sadistic combination where she both stops on a dime and speed boosts whenever she lands, thus ensuring that whether you're in midair or on the ground, you are going to be in a majorly rough spot. And all of that maybe could have been a little bit more bearable if it weren't for this ungodly sin against humanity. What, do you not see it? Oh, no, you don't. Here, let me elaborate a little. Yep, the game has no D-pad support. A game where half of all gameplay takes place on a two-dimensional plane has no D-pad support. And need I mention that this game is a sequel to a nearly identical game that did have D-pad support? I used to think Sonic Team had foresight and knew lots of players would naturally want to use the D-pad during 2D sections and Generations, but the omission here leads me to believe it was an accident and somebody just accidentally clicked on the allow D-pad button. At this point, I realize I have way more to say about the game's negatives than its positives, so let's just get into it. No doubt, this game is messy in an obvious way, and I'm kind of surprised they still decided to release the game in this state, given how much street cred they'd earned back over the years. Don't get me wrong, it's certainly a functional product and nowhere near the likes of Sonic 06, but the hiccups really add up. There was this thing that kept happening in Generations, where sometimes for no reason the frame rate would suddenly dip. It wouldn't matter where I was or what was happening. One moment the game is blazing buttery smooth, and the next it gets all choppy. Sonic Forces has a similar issue, but luckily this time it's at least more minor and doesn't result in dropped input. Of course, maybe it's just my PC and everyone else is playing the game buttery smooth? Thing is, it's never happened in any other games, and it's exclusive to Generations and Forces, which leads me to believe there's a common thread on Sonic Team's back end that's affecting the game's performance. There was also this boss fight where the arena just didn't know what it was doing there and kept flickering. I'm gonna start talking about the end of the game now, so if you're worried about spoilers, run, get out, hurry. This is your last chance. Near the end of the game, there's this big crowd shot of the Resistance forces, and they did not even try to make an actual crowd shot. There's supposed to be like 100 characters, and the number of actual character models you could count on one hand. They just copy-pasted the same models randomly all over the place. There's the brown bear, the purple cat, the pink bird, the blue cat, and the yellow bunny. They're sometimes doing exactly the same animations in sync, and there's even a few shots where right there, you will see two of them, same model, side by side. Every single employee at Sonic Team saw this scene, and every single one of them responded, "Yes, this is of the level of quality we encourage." Like, 1, making so few models for a crowd shot is lazy under any circumstances, and 2, this game's main gimmick is a character creation tool. And in said character creation tool, the player has access to a randomizer button. Me, right here, personally, could make 100 unique OCs on my own in half an hour. Come to think of it, wouldn't it be a neat feature if the game downloaded random player avatars from the internet and placed them in this cutscene? Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a stretch to expect them to implement such a complex thing. Oh wait, they already did! The game always has 9 online avatars downloaded at any given time for the totally pointless rental system. So we know for a fact, at a minimum, they could have just loaded in those 9 models that are already downloaded and had almost a 100% increase in crowd variety. Also, I have nowhere else in the video to fit this, but the rental avatars are fun to check in with. Ian Green, dude, you're not even green. Anyway, here's the part where I talk about narrative in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. First off, there's something that's not obvious at first that I need to address. At first, I was actually disappointed with the plot as a whole. Basic summary as I first saw it. The world was exploding. Sonic ran around a lot. The world stopped exploding. Nothing was really at stake for Sonic, he just had things he could stop from blowing up, so he did. Meanwhile, just randomly teleporting from set piece to set piece. But I was looking at it as a Sonic game, about Sonic the Hedgehog. After I beat it, I realized this is not a Sonic game about Sonic the Hedgehog. This is a Sonic game about you, the player, and your own aspirations to be as brave and heroic as Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, that's right, they pulled a Kojima. Like seriously, look at it from your OC's perspective. You start out as a coward, doing nothing when Infinite first attacks, and showing less than your bravest face. You choose not to remain the same person you currently are, join the Resistance, and throughout the game, gradually become more confident in yourself, facing your fear, conquering it, and finally, making out with your one true love, Sonic the Hedgehog. The OC, though not given any lines, is the only character who fundamentally changes by the end of the story, filling in the role of the hero in this adaptation of the hero's journey. Disclaimer, loose adaptation of the hero's journey, very, very loose. And all that said, it's executed very poorly, as evidenced by the fact I didn't realize who the main character was until after I beat the game. The story has too many characters being swapped between at too rapid a speed, speed. Before you can even catch up with one character's story, you're suddenly playing as the next, and each character has their own specific companions to keep track of, along with a few random companions who are just sort of there? Come to think of it, they made a big deal about a bunch of characters being back at the beginning, including Chaos, and Chaos literally did nothing the entire game. Things are a bit better in episode Shadow. You only have to follow one narrative, and there's exactly 4 characters: Shadow, Infinite, Rouge, and Omega, with the majority of time being devoted to Shadow and Infinite. It's a woefully short 3-level narrative that literally doesn't have an ending, but at least we had something we could focus on. Back to the game as a whole, there's serious pacing problems in how the scenes play out. One of the worst blunders is this scene, which is also one of the most important moments in the game's narrative. Eggman brings up a new concept to both the audience and the protagonists. He can open a portal into a dimension where nothing exists. Exactly 35 seconds after this concept is introduced, Sonic and Shang are already sucked inside it. There's no build-up, it's thrust at the characters and the audience out of nowhere. After being pulled in, Tails and Eggman have some expository dialogue, which probably should have come earlier, since it distracts from the more important matter at hand of the player characters non-existing. Gameplay starts immediately after with a somber musical cue and Sonic's first line inside this dimension implying this is supposed to be a moment in the story where the main characters encounter some great hardship to overcome. It's one of the most important moments narratively, because without reaching a low point, the characters will be in a constant state of domination against the antagonist, and thus there's no tension and therefore no reason for the audience to care about their struggle. You also might be wondering why I'm talking over a still image this entire time instead of showing the scene I'm talking about. I present to you the scene I'm talking about.
相棒、ここは俺たちのいるべき場所じゃない。戻ろうぜ。みんなが待っている世界へ。ダブルブースト。ママ行くぞ。俺たち2人のフルパワーで虚無空間を突き破るんだ。戻ってきたぜ。
4.45 seconds. Exactly 4.45 seconds are spent between the characters encountering and overcoming their lowest point in the game's narrative. Sonic's voice clip isn't even able to finish his line before the turnabout. Their imprisonment and escape is given no chance to have any impact on the audience. They don't even explain how they escaped, which is honestly more important than that exposition Tails gave earlier. And it doesn't even accomplish anything on the gameplay end. You do one quick time event. You don't even have to touch the controller. The only difference is they look a little awkward. Then the screen goes white and you're just playing the same old generic city level as if nothing happened. The concept of the nothing dimension is never brought up again. They could have removed that entire scene and just started the level outright, no cutscene, right at the beginning of the city, and nobody would have noticed. I am baffled as to why they put all their effort into making this scene and the nothingness environment in the first place when they don't even actually use it. There's no narrative purpose, nor gameplay purpose. It's a scene that the team put a ton of work into to accomplish nothing more than to waste 2 minutes of the player's time. Plus, in some other cutscenes, they didn't even make the assets they needed and cobbled together the scene anyway. There are multiple cutscenes in which Eggman is talking to his henchmen in an open field in Green Hill Zone. Like, apparently Green Hill Zone is Eggman's personal office. He holds all his meet and greets there. In the end, though I did spend more time complaining about flaws than I did praising the good, I do have to stress that Sonic Forces is, in fact, on the whole, a blast to play. Just with a few minor, but very jarring flaws. I might even consider it my favorite of the Unleashed expansion packs. Sonic Forces gets a review score of 3. 3 of them. Out of number. Special thanks to all Patreon backers, including Eric Flynn, Lord Renzi, Les Lamb, Zany Vance, David 20 Covers, Beatty, JD, and RB Drock. As always, let me know how much this video sucks, especially how much this video sucks. I'd really like to get some feedback. Arigato gozaimasu desu for watching, and get out of my house.